Black Sheep Props channel. I'm Steve, and I'm here to teach you the tips, tools, techniques, and materials for building your very own super cool EVA foam props. Now, in our last build, we went video game when we built the data knife from Titanfall. And if you missed that build, we'll include the link in the description below to our channel's homepage so you can go over there and check out Titanfall or any of the other super cool builds we have there. Now, for this build, we're going to go superhero, action, adventure. So without further ado, Black Sheep Props would like to introduce you to the newest member of the family. Wow, check it out. That's right, you know this look from a mile away. It's from the Power Rangers. It's actually the Astro Blaster from Power Rangers in Space. Look at that thing, man. You know the styling. It's the styling you can't miss. It's the Power Rangers. Check that thing out. Tons of work, tons of details, but nothing really too hard. It's made of two pieces. It's got the whole bottom blaster, and then it's got the whole top blaster that flips upside down and fits in there. Most of it's pretty simple. It's kind of these two front ends that are a little bit tricky. Not super hard, but a little bit tricky. Pretty simple paint job. We got to do a lot of careful cutting in though, because there's several colors that come close to each other. We've got blue, silver, black, red, tiny bit of gold. But that's it. Super fun, but a lot to do here. So in this episode, making an EVA foam Astro Blaster Part 1, we're going to begin going step by step through how to make it. And if you want to build along with us, we have a template, so we'll include the link in the description below to our storefront. So if you want to go pick up a template, you can. If you don't, that's cool. Just check it out. All right, man. Time for me to shut it. If you're ready to hit it, let's make something. All right, we're going to start our central body piece. This should be really easy. We're going to take a 24mm and a 6mm, and we're going to stick it together, and then we're going to cut it out on the bandsaw and the scroll saw. All right, there we go. Now you know the drill with our contact cement. Coat both sides, let it completely dry, and then once it dries, it'll make contact. All right, there we go. A 24 and a 6 stuck together and cut out on the bandsaw. Okay. All right, we transferred our template over to our 2mm piece of foam. Now we're going to... All right, there we go. Nice. Beautiful. Try to lay it down without stretching it, so we're just going to set it down like that. Okay, so we didn't stretch it because we don't want the windows to warp. All right, now we're going to lay our template right here in place like this. All right, now we're going to transfer the line over. All right, there we go. Perfect. Now we can... All right. All right, there we go. There's two exact copies, okay? Now, we have our dust mask on because we're going to start dremeling these edges, but what we also did was we took the rest of our template and we transferred in some lines, okay? And we're going to bevel the edge of both of these pieces. All right, there we go. Look at that, man. That is sweet. That's a nice bevel around there. Now we're going to begin doing this little line at the top, okay? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get our wood burner heated up. So let's plug it in, let it get hot. All right, we're going to come in with our can. And that's not bad. All right, let's make a little line right off the side, right off of that end where we stopped. Just like that. Okay. All right, there we go. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come and we're going to make a line right off of the end. Perfect. All right, now when we bring this in and we line this edge up and this bottom up, and then we flip it over, we transferred our line right there, so we've got our curve where we want to cut it. We're going to do. All right, there we go. Be careful here because we want to line up perfectly at the bottom, right there. And we're going to line it up right down the bottom edge. We're just going to keep lining it up, flush with the bottom. Now we want this end to be right flush at the end, like that. All right, there we go. And now we're going to do the same thing up here. We're going to lay it down straight. Nice, so we're straight right here, and all the way along the edge. Now here, we're going to make sure that we get this corner to line up, so we'll stretch it a little bit right there. Look at that. Wow, that's cool. Oh my gosh, that is nice. Look at that. All right, let's come in and do these little details, okay? These are gonna come in and they're gonna go right here where we drew our guideline on both sides, there and there, right? That's simple 3mm foam. All right, now we're going to come right through here. We're gonna stand our knife up. So we're using the smallest part of the blade. That way we can get a nice tight pivot around that little circle. Right, there we go. Look at that. That is nice, right? Now we're just going to do this piece. Pivot right around these little corners because we're cutting these little pill shapes out. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now before we stick these down, we have all these little dots here, okay? We're going to be going from dot to dot, and we're going to be just lightly breaking the surface of our piece with our X-Acto knife. Don't go too deep, just break the surface. It's actually called scoring, but we're just going to cut through the very top layer. All right, there we go. Now we just broke the surface. See that? All right, now get some super glue on our piece. Squeegee it to get it nice and smooth. Now we've got a little bit left right here. We'll come in with our super glue and we'll use our squeegee. Nice. All right, there we go. There's our little piece in place. Now we're going to come in and we're going to hit this with the heat gun and we're going to seal it. And besides sealing it, these little creases will open up. All right, there we go. Look at that. That is pretty cool. All right, now this little piece is going to come in and it's going to sit right in there, but what we want to do is we want to slightly round the edge off, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's tighten it up. Okay, we're going to start our handle now. This will be really easy. We've got an 18mm base, and we're going to be sticking these 3mm pieces to both sides. But what we're going to do first is we're going to cut these windows out before we stick them down. All right, there's both of our side pieces. Now we're going to knock these straight lines off with our box cutter. to try to lay down close to our Sharpie marks, just like that. All right, there we go. We've got our little see-through windows on both sides. All right, now we're going to bring in the outer shape from our template. We're going to transfer the line. This is what we're going to be cutting. All right, now we're going to go over to the bandsaw and we're going to cut this out. All right, now we're going to be coming in with these little 2mm pieces and we're going to be cutting them out and sticking them down in here. All right, there we go. We cut our little pieces out of our 2mm foam with our X-Acto. Now, just like that, okay? That easy. Nice. All right, now we're going to throw a dust mask on and we're going to soften up the edge of this piece here. There we go. Nice beveled edge around both sides. Let's seal it. Tighten up the foam. Looking good. All right. All right, let's come in with this piece. This is going to be the piece that's going to attach up at the front of here. All right, so we've got a 24mm and a 3mm on both sides. Okay, so we're going to cut these holes out, cut these pieces out, stick them to both sides of our 24. There we go. All right, there we go. Nice, real easy stuff. All right, there we go, just like that. Now we're going to move over to the bandsaw and knock those out. All right, there we go. Nice little recess on both sides. All right, now let's make our mark. Cool. All right, there we go. We got it nice and lined up right there on the front piece. Wow, man, that's nice. And super easy too. You've seen how easy that's been so far. This thing is really, really easy. All right, now let's just let's dust this whole area with some heat just to seal it up. Nice. All right, here we go. These little symbols that are going to go on both sides are going to be made up of some real simple pieces, some 2, 3, and 6mm. Okay, now we're going to cut out the inside circle here on this 3mm piece. Okay, here's all of our pieces, all right? So we're going to do things in stages, all right? So we're going to come in with this first, and we're going to make a little puddle of super glue. Get the bottom wet. We're going to use our little guide we have here. We're going to line up our triangle with our top line, just like that. All right, then we're going to take each little piece. All right, check out those two little details. Really easy stuff. Okay, now we're going to take our 6mm piece and we're going to round the edge right to that line with our Dremel. So throw on a dust mask. All right, there we go. We got a beveled edge all the way around it. Now we're going to be able to bring these in and stick them right on top just like that. Get the whole thing coated. X-Acto in the front, just like that, so we can bring it in here. Right there. Alright, check that out. It's pretty nice. Has the beveled edge, the little details. Now, we're going to be sticking this down to a piece of 2mm foam. There. Drop it right inside there. Like that. Wow. All right, there we go. Check that out. That is pretty sweet. Let's soften the edge of that bottom ring. Drop that down. That looks great. All right, now we have this little 4mm piece, these two pieces. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to be rounding part of the top over. So we're going to cut all the way across the top, like this. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our Dremel and we're going to round this top over. All right, there we go. Now we've got a pretty rounded top right there. Okay, that's what we wanted. Now we're... All right, now we're going to come in and we're going to do the little piece that's going to fit right in here. We're going to start with a 24mm dowel and a 2mm piece of foam. All right, we're going to cut this out. We took a piece of foam and we did a test wrap around here to make sure we had the right length, and that's what this is. When we do a wrap, we like to do a slight bevel on the end, just a slight one. Tip the knife, just like that. Same thing on this end, just slightly tip the knife. Okay, now before we wrap this, we're going to come in here with our wood burner and we're going to make a groove right in that little center mark right there. Alright, when we get to the end, we're going to back up real fast. Just like this. There. See that? Perfect. And then look, sharp little line, nice corners, perfect. Now we can come in and we can start to wrap this thing. All right. All right, now we're going to line this up flush with the end. Roll this, and we're going to keep it lined up here on the edge. what do we got here? All right, that's gonna touch perfectly. Now what we wanna do is we wanna get a little bit on the end because it's gonna make contact. All right, there we go. We're gonna line our seam up. Perfect. The reason that this is meeting together so perfectly is we did a test wrap, and then besides doing a test wrap, we cut a slight bevel on both sides. It makes it go right together nice like that. Look at that. That is a really nice seam. All right. Pretty good. Now we're going to go over to the bandsaw and we're going to knock this off on those two lines. All right, there we go. Nice, real simple work, nice little detail. Now, and we're going to follow right around the inside of that line. All right, there we go. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, now there's our piece. We've got our little marks on the side. So we're gonna just like put a little super glue down. All right, now we're gonna come in, let's get a dust mask on. We're gonna come in with a Dremel and we're gonna round this edge over and clean this up so it's perfect. All right, look at that. That is totally beautiful. It's totally smooth around the end and we rounded the corners off. Look at that. All right, check that out. That is tighter than tight. Wow. Really? All right, now we're going to do the barrel on the end of our Astro Blaster. Should be pretty simple. We've got 4mm, 24, 6, and here we're going to stick a 24 and a 6 together, and an 8. All right, just like that. Okay, now we're going to leave the bottom because we have to make a measurement later. All right, now these we're going to have to start shaping. Okay. All right, let's come in with our brass tube. All right, now we're going to be shaping this thing, okay? Shaping it quite a bit. So we're going to get our Dremel out. All right, now we're going to come in with this big piece here, this 24 and this 6. All right. Okay, now what we need to do is, this is what it's going to look like right here. So this needs to taper, okay? So we're going to match this angle right here over on the bandsaw. We're going to tip our table and we're going to cut this to try to get a nice tapered piece. All right, check that out. All right, we're going to come in with our 220. Now, this is going to come in and sit right on the front like that. But what we're going to do first is we're going to slightly round this edge off. All right, there we go. See how that end has that nice look to it? It kind of curves in right there before it gets to the end. Beautiful. We're going to get it really wet. We've got time to slide it. All right, there we go. Perfectly centered on that piece. slightly overhangs it. And that's why we like to use super glue sometimes, because you can stick it down and move it around to make sure you're perfectly positioned. That's pretty nice so far. All right, now we're going to come in with this guy right here, this 24mm piece. We're going to cut this out on the scroll saw so we can get a nice perfect circle. All right, there we go, slight taper. All right, now that's going to come in and go on the bottom just like that. But now we need to make an interesting cut down here. So let's do a little bit of figuring, and then we're going to have to try to cut it. Now this is what we want to do. We want to cut a curve on this piece, just like that. All right, there it is. We transferred our curve over to our piece. Now we're going to go over to the scroll saw and we're going to try to cut this curve out. Okay, there we go. Now let's see if it fits on here. The curve does fit on here, but it's a little bit crooked. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to come in and try to shape this a little bit with our Dremel. Perfect. Wow. All right, let's seal this whole thing up, get it tight. All right, but before we do that, we're going to come in with our 4mm fin, all right? All right, now we have to make an adjustment, okay? This fin is a little bit too long. We want the fin to go from right here to the back. All right, so we have to make a cut on here. So we laid this over it to get our angle where it goes up and then down, and we transferred our up and down line on there. So, okay, there we go. Now we have our up and down cut, which should be right on the money. And now we're going to make this new back cut. Okay, this is where you're going to need to do a little bit of measuring. Right there. Pretty darn nice. Now, it's about 1/8 of an inch. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 1/8 of an inch out of this top area. All right, there we go, right there. See that? We're going to take that little piece out of this larger band so that this can fall right in there. All right, now we're going to come in and we're going to slice through the bottom. Get that off of there. Look at that. Wow. This should drop right in there and we should be celebrating. And we are. Look at that. That is mighty nice. All right, now let's bevel this edge. All right, there we go. We beveled both sides so it comes together to a peak. And we're going to slip it right in there where we did the little cutout. This might be the hardest piece of the whole entire prop, all right? All right, now, the reason we said this is one of the most difficult pieces of the build is, wow, we had to take this piece. We had to bevel the end, then we had to take this piece and we had to taper it, round the edge over. We added our little spacer. This piece at the bottom we also had to taper. Then we had to shape out the back end. Then we had to cut a piece out of this at the top so our little fin would fit in there. Kind of complicated. Not too hard, just a little bit complicated. Right now. Right there. We're going to come around the front. We're going to line it up. Really cool. Hot dog, that's awesome. All right, there you go. There's the top half. We built the whole top half. And like we said, nothing really too difficult. It's this front section that was a little bit tricky. You got to be careful, but totally doable. That's it. Did some simple layering up, did some simple building in here with just little pieces and nothing too hard. Got in here with a little bit of X-Acto knife work and separated it with the heat. Some cool little details in here, but not hard. So that concludes making an EVA foam Astro Blaster Part 1. Hope you liked it. If you did, give us a like, share us with a friend, and subscribe to this channel. And together we're going to go step by step through a lot more super cool builds so that you get the props you deserve. Thanks for coming. See you next time.